So in this short video, we're going to look at how one can trace the flow of energy between different objects and different forms of energy. So in this case, we are going to see how energy goes from fossil fuel all the way to the movement of a roller coaster. So at this point, you should have watched the previous video, forms of energy, so you should have an understanding about the different forms of energy that there are. So the first form of energy that it takes is coal, which we know is created from dead and decaying organic matter, which is living things. So coal is actually a form of biological energy, and we know that biological energy most of the time gets their energy from the sun. So coal is then transferred into some kind of power plant where it's heated up using thermal energy. So now we're transferring this energy from biological energy to thermal energy. This thermal energy is used to create steam and boil water. We boil the water to move this turbine. Now the thermal energy is getting turned into mechanical energy as this turbine turns, and this turbine spins very, very fast in a form of mechanical energy. This mechanical energy gets then transferred into electrical energy. The electrical energy then gets sent to through power cables, through lines of cable and lines of wiring. It gets transferred to a motor. This is the engine room of a roller coaster, and now it gets transferred to the engine. That engine that runs on electricity then transfers energy to the pulley cable. If you've ever been on a pulley cable, you know that it pulls the car of the roller coaster up to the top of a hill and then brings it back down. So that cable, that energy pulling it up towards it, is mechanical energy. So it once was mechanical energy in the turbine, then to electrical, now back to mechanical. Now as it's falling due to gravitational energy, and as it continues to move, it moves upwards and downwards, and it always moves back down as a result of gravitational energy. So if we remember, work is doing some kind of movement, and energy is the capacity to do work. So energy takes on many forms, it can transfer many forms, and you also have to remember the law of conservation of energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. At no point during this transfer were we destroying energy, nor were we creating it. If you see, every energy came from a source. Even the coal wasn't creating energy, because ultimately coal came from dead or decaying living things, which got their energy in some way, shape, or form from the sun. So yes, energy takes different forms. It can transfer between those forms, but oftentimes energy is lost in the environment into an unusable state. For example, when we burn the coal to create fire, some of the heat is lost to conduction into the actual container. It's lost to the environment. Some of the heat just disperses into the environment in a way that we can't use it. We don't trap all of the heat. Or when the electricity is transferred, some of the electrical potential is lost. Some of the electrons stop moving. They don't make it all the way to the engine, don't make it to the motor. So at some point, some of the energy is lost. Even a roller coaster can't keep on going up and down hills forever. Even the gravitational energy will run out. If you drop something down a hill, it can go up and down a hill a couple of times perhaps, but eventually the roller coaster does come to a stop, because at some point the energy will be dispersed enough into the environment. In the roller coaster, it gets dispersed as friction, it gets dispersed as some kind of thermal energy, but it goes into a form that we can no longer use it. So that was just a quick example of how to trace the flow of energy between objects, and always take note on how to predict the ways that energy is lost to the environment into an unusable form.